So we will create today, we will try to create one simple interface like this Netflix. We will try to create an interface like this Netflix. A simple basic interface like Netflix we will try to design. Actually, Netflix is completely designed in React. So we will try to create this Netflix like design with React environment. We will do that. And for that, only React is not enough, because how you will get such buttons, drop downs, colors, effects, lot of styles are required. Actually, to get this kind of design, we use Bootstrap. We can use Bootstrap. By using Bootstrap, we can design. React people, Netflix people are not only just using React. Actually, Netflix people are using, they are using a library called, they are using Material UI. Material UI. Netflix people are using this Material UI. That means by using this Material UI, we can create such design. That means colors, buttons, effects like concept. But you can learn Material UI later, because to learn Material UI, you should learn React first. After you have perfect knowledge on React, then you can use this Material UI. So temporarily, we will design this with React and Bootstrap combination. We have to use CSS and all. We have to use CSS, Bootstrap combinations we have to try. So let's see how to create this. We will see how to create this interface. Actually, to create this interface, we are not building a separate React application. We are using a traditional web application. In the traditional web application, we will try to achieve this concept, right? Let's see. First step, for that means we are creating Netflix like design. Then what are the process you have to follow? Up to creating a project, you are aware. Up to creating a project, you know, right? How to create a project. So that I will do now. I will show you. First, what we will do is create a new folder for a Netflix project. What we will do is in your any location on your PC, you create some React, some Netflix like folder. So we will create some React Netflix like folder. So let's do that first. In my computer, I am creating some new folder, and I will give the name React Netflix. This is React Netflix folder. Okay, let's close. That is ready. There is a folder. Now you know that working with designing and developing, we need an editor. We will open this in Visual Studio Code. Okay, open project folder in VS Code, Visual Studio Code. That means what you have to do, open Visual Studio Code. In this Visual Studio Code, you have to open that project folder, open folder. In that folder, it is in E drive. It is actually React Netflix, and I select the folder. This is an empty folder. Currently, this is an empty folder. Now, as per the tradition, we will set up this for building a React environment. We will do that for building a React environment. So what are the things you have to do? So first concept is you add following folders into project, and you know every project needs two folders. One is what? Public, another one SRC. To keep static resources, we need public, and to keep dynamic resources, we need SRC. These are the two folders required. So I will create one folder called public. I will create another folder called SRC. These two folders are ready. So we are adding two folders. Okay, next, to set up a React environment, you have to run following commands. commands in terminal. In terminal, you have to run the following commands. What are the commands you have to run? So first, npm init and flag y. This is a command which is used for creating package.json file. Package.json is required for metadata. Project metadata is defined in package.json. Next, you need to install npm install. One is, yesterday we saw React. And next, you have to install npm install. What is it? React DOM and save. And you have to install another one, npm install @babel / what? Standalone. Standalone Babel library is required. Save. And because we are building Netflix like interface, we need to install Bootstrap. You need to install Bootstrap. Bootstrap is required for creating good interface. Bootstrap provides CSS and jQuery libraries. And you can install another Bootstrap latest version have icons. Bootstrap 5, current version is 5. They have icons. You want special icons for your project, then you can use Bootstrap icons. Another library you need to do install. Actually, jQuery is also required. I will show you how jQuery is used in React also. We will learn. Generally, React can use JavaScript and jQuery methods for dealing with a lot of interactions. Suppose in React, we have to communicate with API. We have to connect with any API, get the data and interact. Then we can use jQuery AJAX. We can use jQuery AJAX, or we can depend on any third parties also. Different third parties will be available. So as of now, these are enough to create our React application, right? That means Netflix like interface, these are enough. So you need to set up all these things. Let's do that. And you know that all these files are copied into a folder called node modules. All are copied into a folder called node modules. So all these library files are present in node modules. They are present in node modules. So let's do this now. Here, I am creating a new file. First, I will open terminal. In the terminal, I will, this is the terminal in Visual Studio Code. Let's run those commands. npm init and y. This is going to generate package.json file. That is package.json created. Now we need other libraries. npm install React and save. So React is installed. You can see node modules is added automatically. Node modules is the folder. Okay. Next, we need to install npm React DOM. React DOM is the next library you have to set up. Installing, there is no order. Only linking them have order, right? You can install anything anytime. Another next option, we have to install npm install @babel / what? Standalone library. Babel is a compiler which is required for React. React is core library, React DOM is virtual DOM library, and Babel is compiler. And you want some good effects, then we will install npm install what? Bootstrap and save. Okay. I'm installing one more. I'm installing Bootstrap icons. Icons also save. Bootstrap icons. Some special icons are provided by Bootstrap icons. We can do that. Okay. Next, we need to install npm install jQuery. We need to set up jQuery also, then save. This jQuery is also installed. So perfect. All libraries that are required for project are ready. So for creating a perfect, simple React interface, whatever libraries are required, we design. And remember, many people ask this, do I need CSS, HTML, and JavaScript and Bootstrap like knowledge to become a React developer? 100%. 100%. You cannot call yourself as React developer without CSS, Bootstrap, HTML complete knowledge. Because the main purpose of React is building effective user interfaces. Then how you will build effective interfaces without knowing proper CSS, Bootstrap and all? Because many people ask this, that I haven't learned any Bootstrap. Is it any matters for React learning? For learning, it doesn't matter. But for working in real world environment, it matters a lot. You can't call yourself as React developer without knowledge of Bootstrap and others. It is mandatory to have the knowledge of good CSS and all. Because React developers' main role is building good interfaces. And good interface means only React can't do. It needs help of lot of other third parties. Already we said that React is not having everything. It needs support of lot of third parties. So these are all very important. You need to have good knowledge of them, right? If you already know Bootstrap and all, it's very good. Otherwise, I will upload some documents related to Bootstrap. You go through them. Right into Classroom, I will upload some documents related to Bootstrap, because Bootstrap current version is 5. Some people may be aware of Bootstrap old version. In 5 versions, some changes are there. Some new different concepts are there, differences are there. Anyhow, our project is now currently ready. But one more point, our project needs a startup page now. So page starts with which one? Index. So add a startup page for project. And what is the startup page? Startup page for project index.html. Generally, index.html you can keep anywhere. Actually, in React projects, what happens is after we build the project, final all the library we need to publish live onto cloud servers. When we have to publish onto cloud servers, usually what we do is we bundle everything into one folder called public, or we bundle into a folder called dist, or we bundle into a folder called build. That means complete entire project related resources are kept in final one folder. Because when you are deploying on live servers, you have to tell which folder to deploy. That folder should contain all the logic. The deployment is not a point now, but I'm just explaining the concept that make sure that you have one final folder when it is ready to deploy. Currently, we are not deploying, we are just live testing it. So that is the reason. What we will do, we will keep this index page. We will keep this index page directly in the project root folder. Usually index page is kept in which folder? It is kept in public. Usually we keep that in public folder, right? So now here I am keeping, you can keep in public folder. In the public folder, go add a new file. And this file name is index.html. Index.html. This is the page. Now this page have to use React. This page have to use React. Then what you have to do is design a HTML page. I will keep the title as Netflix. That is the title, Netflix. And here we will put a no script. No script tells that please enable JavaScript on your browser, because React cannot work if JavaScript is not enabled. Then if anybody tries to use our React application with the JavaScript disabled in his browser, it can't work. Then this warning will come. And React application requires a virtual DOM to render. Where to render that virtual DOM? We have to keep one container. We will create one container. We will name it as what? Root. We will name it as root. This is the root container. That means entire React content will come here. That means all the contents are rendered here. This is the virtual root. Okay, now some more things you have to do. You have to link the files. You know how do we link the files? That means we need to link the files here. Let's see how do we link the files. What are the files? First, we need to put a script, and the script source is, it is in node modules. And in node modules, we have, first we need to import React. In React, not CGS. Our module system is UMD. Yesterday I told you module system. In that React development.js. Okay. Next script. So we have source in that node modules, in that React DOM, in that UMD React DOM development.js. One more we need for Babel script src. Then it is node modules. Okay. In that @Babel standalone babel.js. These are all the scripts you need to keep ready. And you are using Bootstrap. If you are using Bootstrap, actually, as per the recommendations of Bootstrap people, they recommend to keep all Bootstrap scripts in the body section according to their recommendations, because several Bootstrap effects are designed to work on body load. So you keep here script Bootstrap. To make Bootstrap work, we need scripts source, and the script source is node modules. In the node modules, we have Bootstrap. In that dist, in that Bootstrap JS is there. In that Bootstrap bundle, this is the file which can work with for all Bootstrap effects. All Bootstrap effects except two. Actually, we have Bootstrap some special like tooltips, scroll spy tooltips are there. Those tooltips needs one extra file called popper. Otherwise, we don't need anything. This bundle is enough. You can use all Bootstrap effects by using this bundle. This one file is enough. You can just include that file. Okay. Another, this will not work if jQuery is not there. Make sure that you set up jQuery also. Script source, it is what? Node modules, jQuery in that dist, jQuery.js. This is the complete environment for working with React and Bootstrap. And still, Bootstrap have a lot of CSS. To use Bootstrap CSS, you know, CSS files are defined through link. Am I right? Link relation is equal to style sheet, href. It is node modules. In that Bootstrap, dist CSS, bootstrap.css. That is the file which is required for Bootstrap styles. Remember, one special concept you will learn in React later is without linking these files will be working. That is the speciality of your React application later. Later you will see that. For that, React uses a technique called bundling. It uses a concept called Webpack. By using that concept, what we can do is, without linking any file, we can make all these files work. Generally, in order to use some CSS scripts in a HTML page, you have to link them. But React will teach you in later stage how to create an environment in such a way that without linking the files, they can use those files. For that, we write configuration mapping. With that configuration mapping, it knows from where to pick the CSS. It knows from where to pick the styles. As of now, we are not into that environment. So currently we will put everything traditional. That means we will put links, everything in index page. We need another link. Link relation is equal to what? Style sheet and href. I need node modules. In that Bootstrap icons. In that font, Bootstrap icons.css. This is the complete setup for your project. Currently, this is required. So remember, first you have to install all these libraries. Now, already you know, without installing any of these libraries, can we use them? We can use them by using CDN. By using CDN, that means you have to visit their server and copy the CDN links from where these files are coming, and you can link them and use them. Right? Without installing any library also, you can do that because all these are available as CDN. You know, JavaScript, CSS, CDNs can be used, right? But we installed everything so that we don't need CDNs. We can directly use from here. Okay. Now, environment is ready. And I want to use Bootstrap in the body section. I will put a class container, or I will just put this. As of now, not required. Just put a body here. Now, observe, let's start this index page. I'm starting the index page. Currently, there is nothing React here. Currently, only the links are set up here. Let's run this page. And usually, this page is empty. There is nothing to display. Now, you can see this page is running. This is the Netflix. This is our project page, right? Now we need to create this like this. That means we have to create this in this way, in this way. In that case, so lot of concepts we need to handle here. We need to handle lot of concept. Let's do that here. What I'm doing here is first, you need to understand the setup for this project, means how they designed this screen, how Netflix people designed this screen. I will show you. Actually, how the Netflix created this screen. Generally, what happens is, this is the page that you are currently watching. And what is this page name? Actually, this page is index.what.html. This is index.html page. This is the page currently you are watching. Netflix, which page you are watching? Netflix index page you are watching. In index page, directly they don't put all this content. Every content is designed as a component. Every content is designed as a component. Actually, what they have is, in this index.html page, they have one component. They have one component. I will give this component name as this is a index component. They have an index component. What this index component? That means page is starting with which component? Page is starting with index component. It is starting with index component. In this index component, it is not empty. Actually, if you look at the index component, what it is having, this index component is actually having background picture. You see, it is having background image. That index component is having background image. You see, the index component have background picture. And that picture is not dominating. That means they designed that in such a way that it is not dominating. That means it is black. That is not dominating. Usually pictures dominate when you take bright images. They are using some CSS tricks to that, right? We will do that. Next point, you can see they have kept a header component at the top. In the index component, they kept a component called header. This is header component. So in the index component, they are creating a header component. This header component is having the Netflix banner, and it is having right side some options like language or component. Remember, in index, okay. Now observe here, in the index, they have another component, this one. Actually, in index, they are having another component. So they have another component in index. What is another component they have? Here, below the header, they have another component. This component, actually, suppose this is a main component. Understood? That is the main component. Now, inside the main component, they are having some title. Am I right? Inside the main component, they are having some title. And after that, they are having some subtitle. After that, they are having another component inside it. They are having another component inside it. This component is register component. This component is register component. They are having another component. It is a register component. That means you can see after this is title and subtitle, they have a register component. That register component is having this sentence and this design. And very important, they have used that somewhere bottom here also. The same component is used here. That means it's a component. It is reused there, right? That means this is the component they have at the top. That means up to now, remember, we are not designing down. We are just designing up to here first. Up to now, how many components are there in this page? Up to now, how many components are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 components are there. That means now this screen is built with how many components? 4. What are these 4 components? These 4 components, we have index, we have header, we have main, and we have register. And what is the startup component? The main component which is rendered in the page is which component? Index. Index component is the main component that renders. That is the main component that renders. Okay, next. In that index, you have header, you have main, and again inside main, you have register like this. Let's see how to design. Now for this, how many components we need? 4. First, we will start with index component. We will start with index component, right? Let's see. As of now, because this is our first example of React we are designing, as of now, we are going to keep everything in this page. Later, you will learn separate files, means create one JavaScript file, link it, use it, how to define and all. As of now, first write the script. We have to write the script. This script uses script type text slash, what is it? JSX, or you can keep it as Babel. Now here, how to create components? As I yesterday told you, every component is a JavaScript function. Every component is a JavaScript function that returns some presentation. Every component is a JavaScript function. That means now what I'm doing here, let's observe carefully here. I'm defining simple. So function, I'm writing function. And I'm defining function name. As per the rules, every component function name starts with a capital letter. It should start with a capital letter. So index component, I'm designing. You can give any name. Component is not mandatory to give suffix. You can just write index also, doesn't matter. But I will just give index component. Okay. Now what this function have to do, it should return some markup. That means what I will do is, I will just use return. Return, what it should return in a parenthesis, you have to create a container div and close this container div. It should return this div. And actually in this div, it needs a background picture. In this div, it needs a background picture. How do you put a background picture? That means we will see a lot of options are there. We will define here. Now for this, what I will do is, I will apply a background picture. We need to put some background picture for that concept. Now, yesterday, you learned about some rules of JSX. In those rules, what are the rules you learned? JSX must contain all information in one container, in one fragment, we call it as. Second, there cannot be void elements. Every element should start and end. Another important, so actually, JSX, another basic rule you should remember, JSX cannot use HTML attributes. It cannot use HTML attributes. It uses JavaScript properties. JavaScript properties. I hope you know the difference between attribute and a property. In JavaScript, you will learn that HTML. Actually, for example, I am writing like this. I am writing, suppose, image. Image have an attribute called src. This is attribute. Image have an attribute called width. Image have an attribute called height. Image have an attribute called class. You can apply some class, CSS classes and all. But you know that in JavaScript, if I want to control image, then actually image have .src. That is property. This is not attribute. JavaScript will not use attributes. JavaScript will use what? Properties. But property name, attribute name are similar, right? But not every property name is similar. I hope you know that. Generally, how to define width? img dot what? Width. How to define height? img dot what? Height. How to define class? img dot class. It is not valid. It is not valid because in JavaScript already there is a word called class. Class keyword is there. Then do you know JavaScript uses that class attribute as class name property? Class name property. In JavaScript, you might have learned that HTML attributes you cannot use in JavaScript as it is. 80% of all attributes have same name property names, but some attribute names are different. Their class name is different, attribute name is different. Attribute name is class and the property name is class name. So JSX cannot use this. cannot use this. That means now I am writing img src. I can put image source. I can put width. I can put height. All these will work. But if I put class, it will say invalid. I have to use class what? Name. Class name, and I have to define. It should have a self-ending. That means this is not valid. This is not valid in JSX. In JSX, you have to write this is valid in JSX. This is valid in JSX. In JSX, you have to write like this. That means you should not use class. You should use what? Class name. You should use class name that you have to apply. So what I am doing here now, this is another basic rule you learned here. So now I will put here class name, not class. I am using class name. I will give here the class name. I will just give a class name called, suppose Netflix back. I'm just using a class name called Netflix Black. And actually, there is no class called Netflix Back. There is no class called Netflix Back. What I will do is, I will write a style above now. I will write a style. And how to write the class? Dot class name. What is the class name? Netflix Back. Netflix Back. Temporarily, I will put background color as black. Temporarily, I'm giving background color black, and I will give color as what? White. And for this, I will give height. So I'm giving height as suppose some 500 pixels. I'm giving like this. Now this is the effect given for Netflix back. That is the effect given for Netflix back. Okay, a component is ready. There is nothing inside it. Only background color we kept as black. There is nothing inside it. Now we need to render this component inside this root. We have to render the component inside the root. Now, yesterday you saw how do we do that? How do we render that into the root? How do we render into the root? So we have to write now inside the script. You have to create constant. What is it? Root. What is that? React DOM dot create root and document dot get element by ID. And what is it? So we have to access root. After that, into that root dot what? Render. We have to render this component. Understood? We have to render this index component. Then how do we render the index component? Here we have to use like a tag. Which component? Index component. We are using self-ending element. Now it is rendering the index component into the root, right? It is rendering into the root. That means it have to get the black color. That means index component is working. Index component is working. That means you got the back color, but actually background image we want, not color. Background image you want. So what I will do is, into this public folder, I will copy one picture. Right, I will copy one picture. Suppose in my computer, I am having some Netflix background image is there. So I am having some images. I have a Netflix banner. I will copy that. I have a Netflix banner. You can download, and it is a JPG file. I'm having a Netflix banner JPG file. And see what I'm doing here is, here in the background is not color. I will put background image. I'm using background image URL, background image URL Netflix banner.jpg. That is the background image I am applying. Now you can see the background image comes. And very important, I need to fit this background image. That means height I will give, generally page height I will give 768 pixels. Okay, that is the page height. I need to fit this background image. How to fit the background image? We have to use some background size as cover. Then it will fit that background like this. But according to their design, the background is not dominating. That means now by using some CSS tricks and techniques, you have to make them ways. Inside this Netflix back, I will keep another div. I am keeping another div here. This div, inside this div, actually that is the area where you put everything. I will do one thing. I will use a semantic element called section. You know, in HTML, we have section, right? We have a section. Now, what I will do is, for this section, I am writing some effects. I am writing section. For section, I will put background color as RGBA, red, green, blue, alpha, 0, 0, 0. That will get a black color. And alpha is 0.5, transparent color, right? And this section height will be the same as background height. That will be same as background height. Then you can see the background section is there. Now the picture is not dominating. I set a transparent color. That means I am using here, so 0.6, that means it will be more darker. So 0.7, that means more darker, transparency. Right, I am keeping it 0.6, that is enough, or 5, that is enough. I'm just keeping that 0.5. Now this is how the Netflix cannot say that I don't know how to put a background, but I am a React developer. That's like joke, right? That means React developer means we expect too much from you. That means we think that you are genius in UI development. We think you should be also, right? So when we are taking you as a React developer, we think that you are genius in your front end. Then only you came to learn React, right? That means to that genius, you are adding React to make it more effectiveness, right? That means you cannot say is not about writing React code. It is about building great interfaces for applications. At high level projects, this is what people expect from a React developer. So you should have awareness on everything. You should have clarity and you should have awareness on everything. I hope it is clear up to now. That means our index component is ready. Now tell me next what I should do. I need to design another component now. What is that component? Header. Header. Where to design that component? Let's go. So index component, above that index, you can write a function anywhere. It doesn't matter because you know in JavaScript functions will support hoisting mechanism. Hoisting mechanism means you write function anywhere, call anywhere, right? It doesn't matter for that. So I'm writing another function. Okay, what is this function? Header component. I'm giving header component. Okay. Now how to design this header component? We have to create header component. That means what this have to return? This header have to return. I will create a header. You know, in HTML, you have a semantic called header. Am I right? Now, in this header, what we will do is we will create 3 parts, 3 areas, right? That means I will keep as of now a simple div. In this div, I will use as a Netflix. Netflix. Actually, they can have their logo. I'm just using Netflix. I will put a class name as suppose brand title. Brand title means that title. For that, we will put some colors, effects and all, right? Okay. After that, another container is there. And in this container, actually, this is second container in header. In this container, we are having one drop down and we are having one button. But that drop down is having some symbols like globe and all. That is not a HTML drop down. HTML drop downs can't have symbols and icons like that. Usually for that, what we do, we create a bootstrap drop down. Generally, we have div. In the div, we will put a span. First, we will put a class name. Class name is equal to, this is drop down. This is a bootstrap drop down. We have a drop down. And in this drop down, I will create another div. We will create a button here. Yeah, button. And what is this button? So this button will have some text called, it will have a span. This span will have class name as this is BI globe. That is actually bootstrap icons. And after that, I will just put language. And here it will have a class name called, this is a drop down toggle. Drop down toggle. So we have a drop down toggle, that is button is called drop down toggle. Okay. Now, actually, this is a bootstrap drop down, and beside this drop down, we have a button, and that button is having some text. What is the button text? Sign in. It is having sign in, and button will have a class called BTN and BTN danger. Like this, it is having the class. Now, still it is not done. Lot of work is there in header, but we returned a header here. Where to use this header? In the section. That means in index component, inside the section, we have to use the header. You designed header, but header is not here. Right? We need to call that header and we need to define that header here. That means we need to keep anything we missed here. Make sure that all are perfectly done, because a small div not closed after button. This is closed, right? Yeah. These are important, right? Fine. Now let's go. We have to access that inside this. Inside this. So inside the section, we have to call, this is index component, header component. And you can see there is a header component inside that. There is a header component inside it, but it is not designed properly. Still lot of work is here. So what I will do now, for here, let's go. Header is using a class called brand title. Am I right? We will put here. What is it? Brand title. Brand title. Brand title. I will give font size. Font size some 25 pixels. Okay. And color, we will keep it as what? Red. So that means you can see the brand title is this. And I will give some 35 or something. And I will give some font weight. Font weight is what? Bold. And you see that is Netflix. Right now, in the header, observe here, this is header. In the header, we are applying class name is equal to P4, P3, padding 3. That means it will have gap around. You can see gap around is there. After that, I will keep dflex, display flex. Display flex will keep side by side. And very important, I will give another justify content between. Justify content between, it will keep one left, one right. And one more option here, right side, those two also should be side by side. Okay. That means this here, we will put a class. What is it? We will put a class d what flex, display flex. It will keep side by side. Or you can give actually input group. Input group will be there. Input group will keep like this. But we have to keep side by side. What we have to do, we will use what? Dflex, display flex. And after that, this also better keep in a div. This is one div, this is another div. Two divs will keep side by side, the contents will be there. I need some gap that you can apply here. Suppose I give margin end as 3, some gap will come. Right, height, width, everything you can control. For this button, we are using the class as BTN dark. That is the button classes. Then button will be like this. Now it is perfect. That means now our header is ready. That means we have the Netflix. We have the headers. Actually, this is the drop down. We are not making it functional. First, we are concentrating on design. Then we can make it functional. First layout you get, then you write functionality, right? That means first we will create the layout here. So, okay, this is ready. Next what? We need a main area. Main area should come in the center, right? The main area should come in the center. So let's create another component now. What is the component we have to create? Header is done. We have to create another function. What is it? Function. This is what? Main component. You need to create a main component. Now what this should return? This main component should return main. There is a main semantic. Okay. I will write a main semantic. In HTML, we have main semantic, entry point. Okay. In this main, what we have seen in Netflix is, in the main of Netflix, they have unlimited movies, TV shows, and all these. So what I will do here, I will keep that. So this is one heading. Okay. We will keep that heading. Let's put that heading. This is heading start and end. After that, I will keep a paragraph in this sentence. Okay, one heading and one paragraph. That is main component, right? And okay, now let's go and put the main component in the section. In the section below the header, right? In the section below the header, we will create. So here I can directly access main. I can directly access main. Below this, which component? Main component. That means below the header, main is there. The main component is there below the header. CSS. Generally, what we can do, you want to keep that in center screen, then make sure that this main is having one container. This is having one container. In that container only you keep everything. Then only it is possible to keep it center screen. Okay. Then what I will do is temporarily here, let's go to the styles. Wherever main is present, we will write main, display as flex, justify content center, align items center, this and height I will give as 500 pixels. This keeps horizontal vertical center. It keeps horizontal vertical center, and I will give text align, text align, text align also what center, then it keeps center. That is ready. You can, what we have done here, we will write like this. In the main, wherever heading 1 is present, in the main, wherever present, like this. It is having the difference that the point is here. This is the main. That means now your header is ready. The main is ready. Now okay, let's continue, right? Yeah. So, yeah, now we need to create this register component, right? Register component. Let's see how to create this register component now. You saw register component in the Netflix screen, this ready to watch. Okay, fine. Now let's go. It should return. It should return a container. Let's keep a div. And inside this div, this register component is having some paragraph. That paragraph have that sentence. And under that, there is a div. In the div, they have a input type as email. And that is having a placeholder. Placeholder. Yeah, placeholder. Placeholder is your email address. And it is having input slash, you need a self-ending, right? And here it is having class name as form control. And here we have a button. And this button is actually having get started. And there is a span. In the span, we are having the class name as bi chevron right. Chevron right is a symbol, right? Symbol is there. And for this button, class name, so btn danger. And this should be displayed as input group, class name as input group, and input group LG. LG is large size. Now this is register component, and I want that register component in the main under this area. In the main under that, the register component should be there. Then let's go where we have to go to the main component. This is main. In the main component under this, we have to access register component. That means here we have to keep register component. under that. And you can see now register component is here. You can adjust the width, paragraphs and all size you can configure for that. That means actually the div inside the main, you can adjust its width, or register component have where is register component? Register component is having a div. This width you can adjust. You can adjust. That means for this, I will put a class name as register, say box, right? I will apply the class here now. What is it? Register box, and for this width I give 800 pixels width for that register box. It puts like this, and I given as 600 pixels. That means it will be in this way. 800 is okay now, right? That looks fine. And this paragraph I need to reduce the size, right? That means what we will do is we will write here register box paragraph. The paragraph inside the register box font size as some 15 pixels. That means it will keep it small. That will be better. Huh? It is 20 size. Then it is okay. It will be displayed in this way. Understood? Huh? That is the design we created here. Width and height, your wish. Design view created by using that. So I hope you are clear in this design, right? This is what we have created with our React. And here the main concept is we have only one page. So only one page. In that page, lot of functionalities, everything we configured using component. And if you can try this, now you will learn simplifying this. That means you will learn how to create a React application, how to separate, because everything comes in one page here. The page is very heavy, right? But in reality, what we do, we maintain every function, every component in a separate file, script file, JS file or JSX files, JavaScript extension files. Those we can import and we can configure. The same thing we will see how we can do in a simplified environment. But for that, we have to learn how to create a separate React application. So this is not a complete independent React application. It is a general web application which is using React. This is using React, right? This index.html is having all the logic you have seen. I will give that index.html. This is complete. Everything present in one location. Everything we designed by using this approach. Now, based on this, you can try different screens. First, you try this, right? And based on that, we can create like Netflix. All these are React apps, right? We can even give the functionality for them. Functionalities we will see later. First, design. Okay. So this is enough. You try this.